So Armagh 210, Tyrone 215 in Division 1 North of the Allianz Football League. So Armagh couldn't back up their victory against Monaghan last week. Fresh from duties with Air Sports tonight, former Orchard player Aaron Kernan joins us. Aaron, I suppose everyone will kind of look back at the key moments in this game being either side of the water break. And missed penalty by Stephen Campbell. I think that could have actually put Armagh at the time. It would have put them 4 points in front, and then a couple of minutes after the water break, Tyrone do find the back of net through substitute Mark Bradley.
Yeah, definitely at that stage, Armagh had just got a brilliant goal. Some great link-up play between Rian O'Neill and Conor Turbett, and even body language. You could definitely see that the Armagh were the team they were in the ascendancy, and it was a well-worked move again, where put Rian O'Neill through in goal and created a penalty opportunity. And unfortunately, Stephen Campbell, he was successful last week against Rory Began, but just struck the ball nearly too well this week. Just a perfect hit for Neil Morgan, and it really gave Tyrone a bit of a lifeline, and they capitalised on it fully. Darragh Canavan then created a goal scoring opportunity out of very little, which Mark Bradley neatly tucked away, and Tyrone just sort of showed a wee bit of experience in seeing out the rest of the game then.
Yeah, do you even think like another area will be concerned for Armagh when you get 1-3 in that second half, and after getting that big lift with that goal from Conor Turbett, they then went 11 minutes before they got the next score through substitute Jason Duffy, and then didn't score for the last 9 minutes of the game as well. So they didn't ever really kind of look like chasing the game back once they fell behind.
Yeah, like I said, just I was give Tyrone that bit of confidence that they looked like they were lacking, and they just used their experience, got the right men on the ball. Darragh Canavan, very influential. Darren McCurry ended up got man of the match. Matty Donnelly, similarly, who had been fairly quiet, started to drive out of defence with the ball, kicked the great score off his left foot. So yeah, just a bit of knowledge and a bit of know-how, but it would be disappointing from an Armagh perspective, because had themselves in a winning position, and like I said, just once the penalty was missed, it just seemed like it definitely it sucked the life out of the team, and you just sort of seen you're going to find it hard. We're definitely going to need to score at least another goal to get the win, and it just didn't look like we were going to create that. And as you rightly say, it ended up running out over 9 minutes where they didn't score at all, which will be an aspect that they'll be very disappointed with.
Yeah, so one of the new features for this league is you can use 7 substitutes. And we've seen something very bizarre in the first half. Armagh used 5 in the first half, and a lot of them was true players. Instantly got booked. I think the likes of James Morgan and Jamar Hall, who was a very surprising one because he just kicked a point before that. And Marty Clark was saying in commentary, says he seems to be playing quite well. That was kind of a strange one. I know there's always a temptation when someone's on yellow card, but do you think that maybe the Armagh management look back and think they kind of pressed the panic button a little bit too soon?
Yeah, maybe it is a case where they have this sort of rule or notion that as soon as you're booked, given how dangerous can be now, they must be for replacing players. The whole fullback line now, in fairness, James Morgan picked a heavy hit, a heavy knock on the hip straight away. He did get a yellow card, which wouldn't have helped his case, and he was replaced. But both Ryan Kennedy and Aidan Forker look like they've picked up serious enough ankle injuries. They were just moving around in moon boots and on crutches after the game. So that's going to be very worrying from an Armagh perspective. The fact that the whole full back line ended up going off, carrying injuries. Paddy Burns then was one of the defenders who came on to replace them, and then he ripped his hamstring towards the end. So if all those injuries turn out to be not even overly severe, but the chances really of any of those men, well, Paddy Burns is definitely gone, but the chances of the other 3 boys being available next week is probably slim to none at this stage. So that's really going to test Armagh's squad and have them down to the bare bones for the Donegal game here in the Athletic Grounds next Saturday night.
Yeah, just kind of looking from a kind of Tyrone kind of point of view, I suppose 2 forwards for me kind of mainly so that obviously on the scoring board, Darren McCurry, I think it ends up with a tally of 7 points, 3 from play, 4 frees, and score probably the score of the game, that acute angle just before the water break as well. But Peter Canavan's young son, Dara, I should really just say it's Darragh Canavan, but while he didn't feature that much on the scoreboard as well, I just thought some of his link-up play, particularly for that second goal to Mark Bradley, was a joy to watch.
To be fair, that's my first time seeing him live now, and to see the maturity that he plays with is remarkable. For someone so slight in stature, his ability to avoid contact or to spin out of trouble, and still have the vision to take others into the game was incredible. Definitely a player. He's been well talked about, and with a name like that, it was always to be expected. But he definitely looks like he's someone going to live up to the hype. But more importantly, and even more surprising, was his tackling back and his ability to take the ball. Like, he got 3 clean dispossessions where he just literally went out and took the ball off Armagh players as they were on the attack. And again, that's an aspect that I definitely wasn't expecting to see from him. And he looks like someone who's settling in really well at the county level. And I suppose the only one, and I suppose the most worrying thing for anyone coming up against him is how unselfish he is, that he probably nearly needs to be just a wee bit more selfish. He was very, very keen to take others into the game, and maybe a few occasions was just reluctant to take a shot on himself. But I'm fairly sure that a few conversations with his dad and a few more games settling in at this level, and you'll start to see a few more scores behind his name in Monday's newspapers.
Yeah, if you want a good value for a bet, for a good value for money for a bet, I think Aaron Kernan for Young Player of the Year, because he's still in that category. Not 21 till the calendar year is out. Just maybe one slight concern again for Tyrone. I kind of felt one thing I felt from watching them last week was their decision making in front of goals was kind of quite poor against Donegal. It didn't seem the best again tonight. Like 17 out of 30 chances converted. That's only a 57% conversion rate. They had 10 wides in total. So there still is a little bit to work on. But I think as Joe kind of touched on with commentary with you about the chemistry, it's still going to take a while to work.
It is, because I suppose whenever you look at their starting forward line, Paul Donaghy wasn't on the panel last year. Dara Canavan only came in for the championship. Darren McCurry couldn't get onto the team, and Conor McKenna has only come back from spending 4 or 5 years in Australia. So that's a lot of people who are literally only getting to know each other. Never mind getting used to how they play, and what way they move, what way they tick, where they like to move, and then throw in on top of that, obviously, the fact that you have a new management team and a new playing style as well that they all need to adapt and learn for. But the fact they scored 215 will still be pleasing for them. But definitely there's plenty to work on, and they did seem to struggle. Like, Armagh got a lot of people behind the ball and made it very hard for Tyrone to get near goals, but they seem to struggle with Armagh's game plan. And it's not that it was anything new, or that it was anything sort of out of the ordinary, but that surprised me how much Tyrone struggled to break it down or to create any just simple scoring opportunities. But again, it's only the second week in, and there's so much has changed within their playing personnel and management over this past 6 or 7 months that maybe that is to be expected. But they'll have plenty to do and plenty to work on over the next 5 weeks as they prepare for a championship, because obviously retaining Division 1 status will be key for them. But Tyrone players, and I suppose Tyrone people and supporters in general, they still would have huge aspirations of being Ulster champions and pushing on, and would see themselves as capable of competing at all Ireland level. So definitely they'll have plenty to work on before the first round of the championship.
Just one last one on this game before we finish up. So that result now tonight with Tyrone winning means nothing in this group is decided. All 4 teams can still make a semi-final or end up in relegation playoff after next weekend's games. From an Armagh kind of point of view, it's probably a position that they would have probably been taken going into the start of the league campaign. So playing Donegal next week, I'm not sure whether who's at home for 70 minutes with a chance to stay up, avoiding relegation playoff. I still think they'd probably be in a happy enough position.
I suppose if you talk to Geezer right now, he'll not be that happy, because 20 minutes to go, Armagh definitely looked like they were on their way to having 4 points on the board and sitting fairly comfortable. But they have Donegal at home in the Athletic Grounds again here next Saturday night. It's very hard to know what's going to happen, because Donegal will probably take a lot of heart from the fact that they come back from the dead really today, where Monaghan cut them to shreds, scored 4 goals, could have had another 4 because they had 4 clear-cut chances. So have Armagh seen plenty that they can expose next week, or is that a massive wake-up call for this Donegal group? Between themselves and Tyrone, it would be generally accepted that they would be seen as the two favourites for the Ulster Championship. But for Donegal to be cut open so easily today, and to be beaten in so many 1-on-1 matchups, will be very concerning for them. But on the plus side, they didn't throw in the towel. They did show plenty of character. They grinded out a draw whenever it absolutely didn't look likely with 20 minutes to go. And they're top of the table. They're sitting, I suppose, as well placed as anyone could be. But there was a lot of weaknesses exposed in today, and the fact that Michael Murphy went off very early on with what looks like is a hamstring injury, you can be fairly certain that there's no chance he's going to be risked next weekend. With the view that if he does any further damage, I'd be fairly certain that would put an end to whatever championship aspirations he would have himself. So you see a Donegal team here with plenty to prove next Saturday night, albeit they'll not have Michael Murphy in the starting personnel.
Yeah, it should make for another cracking Saturday night entertainment next week with simultaneous throw-in times as well. Obviously, a bit more yourself with the Armagh involvement, you're probably a bit more nervous and neutrals like myself. But Aaron, thanks very much for that.
Not a problem at all, there.